What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So we're talking the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, which starts, I believe, tomorrow, and we're asking the question, the deck that wins Worlds, should/will it be kind of like wrecked by the ban list? And the reason I ask this is because in years past, at least for the TCG, Konami has shown a pattern of really going after the decks that win Worlds, even more so than the decks that actually win the North American Championship qualifier, which I find to be pretty interesting. Now, the thing about Worlds is, yes, it's a tournament that you can debate its actual significance. The fact that it does have a made-up ban list that no player has really played under until that event. I mean, I guess you could kind of proxy practice under it, but it's not like you're ever playing under the Worlds ban list under like any regular circumstances. Also, Worlds is a relatively small tournament. Usually attendance is only about 30 people tops, and the entire tournament is only about 6 to 7 rounds. Sometimes there's even buys if there's an odd number of people, because sometimes there may be 28 people who are slated to go to Worlds, but then like people, they have issues with passports or like travel arrangements and stuff like that. So people have often questioned the importance of Worlds, and I find it kind of ironic that it is a tournament that doesn't have a lot of competitive significance, but it has huge implications. You know what I mean? In years past, Konami has pretty much like, they've put the knife into decks like Infernity and Dragon Rulers, decks that have won Worlds. They haven't completely tore apart the deck to where you can't play them like at all, but they definitely look at those decks and they're like, oh, you're tier 1? Not anymore. With Infernity Archfiend, obviously, this took the World Championship last year. I believe it was Sahabi that won it. They ended up limiting Infernity Archfiend and Soul Charge immediately after that in the TCG. With Dragon Rulers, I think they did a real number on that deck after Worlds in the TCG ban list. I believe all the Dragon Rulers went to 1. Dragon's Ravine and Super Rejuvenation, I believe, got the axe, and I think that Sacred 7-Star Sword ended up getting like limited or something like that. They did significant hits to Dragon Rulers, and I don't really think that World should have that much significance, because it's something that it's kind of made up on the spot, and it's something that really doesn't exist outside of that one, like that one little weekend of time. I mean, yeah, you could say that about Euros or the North American WCQs, but those are still the same formats that you've been playing for a matter of months. Like the format evolves, and you see players introduce new tech, and they have counter strategies and stuff like that. None of that really happens at Worlds. It's not like from round to round you're trying to counter a certain deck or something like that. I mean, once you submit your deck list, that's pretty much it. Now we're going to talk about the possibility of decks that could actually get hit at Worlds. Now, for starters, since Worlds is played under like kind of a different ban list that nobody really plays under, there are some decks that, in my opinion, are just kind of eliminated from competition. I think Necros and Shadows have practically no chance of winning this event. With Shadows, they won't have the access to Construct, so I mean, you might as well just throw away that deck, because Construct is the best monster in the deck. I'm not, I don't think anybody's trying to play the deck without Construct. Even in the OCG, where Shadows still saw a little bit of play, it was mostly because Shadows were kind of implemented into other decks like Trains and Volcanics and stuff like that. So I don't really think you'll be seeing much Shadows. I also think Necros don't really have a strong chance either, simply because with Necros, they're actually in a worse position than Shadows, because they have to deal with TCG bans and OCG bans collectively. In the TCG, we went a different route when we were hitting Necros. Like, we hit Shurit, but in the OCG, they hit like Cycle and Unicore, but under the World ban list, like, you have to have both, like, you have to deal with all the hits combined. So Necros are just like not going to be a viable deck. The two front runners, in my opinion, are Sertaler Knights and Cleafords. Sertaler Knights really only have to deal with 1 reinforcements of the army because of the OCG, and Cleafords, well, I guess you could say they have to deal with 1 skill drain, because in the OCG they're used to playing Cleafort with 3 skill drain, but they still have 3 loser turns. They still have 1 skill drain, 1 vanity, so it's enough floodgates, and obviously it's a deck that just wants to lock your opponents out of playing the game via like just super stunning them. So I think Cleafort definitely have a strong strong chance. And then of course there's towers, which can be just a problem. I feel like if one of these two decks actually wins, that these would be the two prime candidates to get hit, especially Sertalar Knights. I think Sertalar Knights would be more likely to get hit even more than Cleafort, because you have to think about this. Sertalar Knights came out all the way back in Duelist Alliance. They're one of the Duelist Alliance era decks. They have seen no significant hits at all. Like, not even the smallest indirect hit. I mean, you could even look at a deck like Burning Abyss, and you could say, like, even if you were just completely cynical, you'd have to say that Tour Guide was at least an indirect hit, even though we all know it was a direct hit, the Burning Abyss. So Sertalar Knights haven't even had Rhoda or Call of the Haunted or anything hit. So I think that if Sertalar Knights win this event, Konami is pretty much justified for, you know, putting Rhoda magically at 1 during the next ban list, or maybe Trevor going to 1, Sertalar Knight Altier going to 2 magically. If a deck like Cleafort wins, I really don't think you'll see anything huge. I think maybe you'll see a Summoner's Art go to 2. I don't think that they would hit any more of the Cleafort actual, like any of the actual archetype, because they did kind of do a couple of ban lists ago where they hit Scout and they hit all the floodgates. They did kind of rough up Cleafort a bit. Actually, they hit Sacrifice as well, so they did basically 4 direct hits to Cleafort, even though 2 of them, Vanities and Skill Drain, were technically indirect hits. And then there's this one little oddball deck. That's Ritual Beast. Ritual Beast will be at 100% full power at Worlds. I don't think that they'll do well, simply because outside of North America, like, it's been shown that this deck just for some reason doesn't do well. It does really good in, you know, the US and Canada and around the eastern part of the world, but when you start going west, people just don't play this deck. Now, I also think that there is still a lot of positive vibes around Ritual Beast. I still don't think that they're looked at as degenerative as a deck like Infernity, even though they are practically the same exact deck. So I feel like even if Ritual Beast came out of left field and won this event, I think you'd see 0 hits, because I think that at their core, people still just have different feelings about Ritual Beast. You see, you know, Ritual Beast, and they're all colorful and they're Wynn, and they've got the little cute penguins and, you know, dolphins and Lara and Wynn and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe they just make you feel happy, as opposed to Infernity. They're dark and corrupt. Maybe I'm just reaching or something like that. I just don't feel like even if Ritual Beast win Worlds, I think there's like 0 chance. Now, another reason I don't think that the deck that wins Worlds should get, you know, significantly hit by the ban list is, if you've looked at the World Championship or the World Championship, a lot of times these high level prestigious players, they play some, like, they kind of play troll decks, you know what I mean? I've seen they go, since they can't usually play some of the decks at their strongest potential, sometimes they go out of their mind with the crazy picks. I remember a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, when Jarrell Winston went to Worlds and he played Exodia, and he actually got a couple of wins with Exodia, and it was like, what the hell is he doing? He's running Exodia. And the thing is, you know, Worlds is only like a 6-round tournament. I mean, maybe you open with a bye, or you win a game and then you have a bye, and then basically you're like 2 wins away from top 4, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you get on a little streak, and who knows, Exodia could be in the finals. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, like, you could have something ridiculous win Worlds. It's not always gonna be 100% the meta. So I've been rambling on too much. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that the deck that wins Worlds should get kind of nicked up by the ban list? Do you think that there should be any correlation between Worlds and the TCG ban list? Because in the OCG, they haven't really shown they haven't shown that connection. Like, in front of the Archfiend is still at 3 in the OCG. They just don't seem to care. But in the TCG, Worlds is like, it actually has a large factor on our ban list in previous years. And what do you actually think is going to win Worlds? Leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, as always.